Hey, YouTube and Patreon. RicoKnows here. Going to talk to you guys about the college football win totals bets. If you didn't know, I've already done all the Power 4 teams. All the top 65 teams in America have already been done. I have predicted their win totals for the season. If you go to the sports book, whatever sports book you're using, you can look up win totals and make your bets now for the regular season. Get your bets in before the season starts, and then we'll collect all our money at the end of the year, kind of like a tax return, right? So just spread out all your bets across the entire chart. Now, this video is going to be free, so I'm not going to show you the chart. But if you need to see the chart, go watch an MVP video. It's in the video, okay? We have posted the chart from time to time. I will post the final chart at some point. But today I woke up this morning. I'm like, all right, I got to start these group of 5 teams. Let me go out there and let me break down a group of 5 team for you. And I started doing my breakdown and doing my research, and I'll tell you how it worked, bro. I was looking at Appalachian State, and I was getting ready to break down Appalachian State and tell you why I believed in their over or their under, right? And while I was doing that, I said, oh my goodness, I need to double check how good South Alabama is, because I know a lot about South Alabama. And I go look at South Alabama, and I'm double checking all their players and giving them different ratings and different evaluations. And I go, oh no. That, you know, they got this going on, and then I thought, oh wait, what about ULM? So I go and look at ULM for whatever reason across my mind, and the sports book has them at 2.5 wins. And I'm like, okay, this should be easy enough to look at. So I want to remind you guys who ULM is and how they did last year. So if I go to 2024, let's go to 2023. ULM just fired their head coach, by the way. They went 2-10 last year. Literally lost every game in the Sun Belt. They lost every game in conference. You see it here. They played Army tough to start the season, 17-13. They went out there and beat an FCS opponent at home in Lamar. A pretty talented or pretty competitive game, which is pretty crazy. Go on the road and lose. Oh, by the way, they never won again, right? They lose to App State. And this game against App State is very frightening for me, because App State's supposed to be loaded. And they only lost by a point. But that emotional loss hurt them. They lose by 1 point to Texas State. They lose here and there a little bit. But those 2 losses to Texas State and App State, that's crazy that they only lost by a point. It's incredible. In one game, their offense kept up. In one game, their defense showed up. So it's one of those things. They couldn't get over the hump. They couldn't find a way to win. So you get fired, and in comes in Brian Vincent. Now, who's Brian Vincent? He's the new head coach, former offensive coordinator at New Mexico last year, and then he was the offensive coordinator at UAB. Let me make this very clear. When he was the offensive coordinator at UAB, he served as the interim head coach because the head coach at UAB just retired due to medical reasons right before the season started. So in 2022, Brian Vincent becomes the interim head coach and leads UAB to a bowl game. Oh, by the way, they had the nation's leading rusher. They had some really good offensive production, if you will. Okay, so it was pretty impressive. All the UAB players wanted him to get hired, and the UAB brass said, nah, we're going to go make a splash and hire Trent Dilfer. So they hired a high school coach in Trent Dilfer, and there's Brian Vincent. He's not going to stay on staff. He's the offensive coordinator, so he just leaves and goes to New Mexico. By the way, he took UAB starting quarterback Dylan Hopkins with him, with a number of other players from UAB. So he goes to New Mexico for a year. New Mexico's one of the worst teams in America. They lose their head coach. He gets fired. And now Brian Vincent doesn't just get fired. He gets hired to be a head coach. This is crazy. You're the offensive coordinator for a terrible team last year in New Mexico, but you get hired at ULM because you have a pipeline in the Sun Belt Conference area. I purposely chose this graphic of the map here. And if you're looking at Alabama, do you see where that little marker is for South Alabama? There's a little marker down there, but underneath South Alabama. Not Troy, but South Alabama. This young man, this Brian Vincent guy, used to be a high school coach at Spanish Fort in Southern Alabama. Like, he has a pipeline to all the Alabama players. This is where he recruits. You were the offensive coordinator at UAB. You know these states really well. He recruits in the Sun Belt. So coming back to the Sun Belt is very normal to him. And he has a really good scheme offensively. So it's something to think about. Now that he's the head coach, though, at ULM, the cupboard is bare. And shout out to our lads for not having a damn clue who's on the team, who's starting. They just gave up. I've never seen this before. They just said, to hell with it. We're not going to update this thing. We'll wait for their fall depth chart to be published because there is no depth chart here. They're not telling you anything about this team. They got players. They don't even know. They don't know what's going on here. So let's talk about it to some extent. We'll keep it kind of short because there's not much to say. So when you go look at ULM, let me pull this up here. ULM statistics, if you will, from last season, okay? When you go look at their statistics from last season, quarterbacks. They had a bunch of quarterbacks. I made videos on most of these guys on TikTok last year. Obviously, I don't do that anymore. But Jai Wright here and Hunter Herring. Now, I had Wright leaving the school. He actually came back. Hunter Herring is everybody's go-to quarterback. He's going to be the starter this year, supposedly. What you'll notice is they threw a lot of interceptions. They didn't do much production. 2,000 yards as a team is terrible. Barely over 50% is terrible. A ton of turnovers. None were by Hunter Herring, but slow down. Hunter Herring only played, that I can remember, in 2 games, and one of them was against Lamar, an FCS opponent, and that's where he did the majority of his passing, and he barely had over 100 yards passing in that game, or just under. Like, he did not light it up. He did not light it up against an FCS opponent, and he's your quarterback. Okay, running backs, Hunter Smith is coming back, and that is a good thing for them. Hunter Smith coming back in the running back room. He beat out Woolard. Woolard, I believe, was an Ole Miss transfer. So he beat him out, and Hunter Smith is a good running back. You can see his stats here. They're respectable. I would expect him to go up. Remember, Krosky Merritt. Like, you're talking about real running backs in New Mexico and at UAB. UAB, they had the nation's leading rusher 2 years ago. And they had Jermaine Brown. And this is the man who's evaluating those backs and recruiting those types of players. So, Jermaine Brown Jr., by the way. So it's pretty impressive what he's managed to evaluate in the running back room, and he's got a good running back in Hunter Smith. I think ULM will probably run the rock better than anticipated. I'll say that to some extent. Wide receivers, Tyrone Howell is gone. Wiley is gone. Bugs Mortimer, gone. Nine Davis, gone. Like it's crazy what they don't have returning in the wide receiver room. Everybody's gone. It's a ghost town over there. Defensively, no, we're not going to go defense. Place kicker, Derek McCormick. He's now the kicker at Indiana, and he was a hell of a good kicker. He kicked a 50-something yarder, right? 50-yarder. I thought it was 52-yarder. He kicked a 50-yarder twice. This is a good kicker. Good kicker, bro. Indiana got themselves a leg. Defensively, Max Harris hit the portal. I'm out of here. I'm going to Texas State. And that's bad when you leave ULM to go be at a conference rival. But he did it. Michael Batten, I believe he left and went to Houston. Aiden Huntington left, went to Tulane. Not sure on Evans. Kennard Snyder left. I think he's at Iowa State. Glass is still here, and he's grateful to be here. He's a former walk-on. He's playing at home. Like he's a local kid. He wants to be there. He's from Monroe, so he's not leaving. Former walk-on. He is a transfer from Harding, right? I believe they won a national title. Ware is still on the team. So they have one linebacker, a decent defensive lineman who played. I believe Watts left. A ton of guys left, bro. Howell's still there. Lou Tillery might have left. I think Backhole is still there. I mean, it's gross. The defense that left. And then they did hit the transfer portal. Let's go talk about that. They did hit the transfer. Rico, when a new coach gets hired, we hit the transfer portal. Yeah, bro. So there's Wiley. He left. Leading receiver. One of the leading receivers gone. Offensive tackle. One of the starters for multiple years now. Kendra Lewis left. Went to Memphis. Watts, like I said, left. Went to Memphis. Thaddeus Franklin. Former 4-star kid. Didn't work out at Miami. Transfers in, and I think he just left. Go back to Florida. He's going to FAMU. Rather play in the FCS than at ULM. Granted, he didn't get on the field, and it's his final year of eligibility. They already got running backs, right? Aiden Huntington, like I said, went to Tulane. Driggers went down to McNeese State. Vollmer got the hell out of town. I believe he just showed up in the transfer portal last year anyways. Oh, they got repeats here. Okay, there we go. We got one from New Mexico. JUCO kid from Hawaii coming in. Congratulations. See another one. From the state of Hawaii, I should say. Nine Davis, like I said, he left. See who else showed up. Well, you lost another lineman, went to La Tech. Another offensive tackle went to Western Kentucky. Telek Lockett, stud. He's at Texas State. Shout out to him. He reached out to the channel. There's McCormick. There's Bugs Mortimer. He's in the MAC now. Lou Tillery, like I said, left, went to Tulane. Ball State, Kennesaw State. Rather go to Chattanooga, back hole. Oh, I said he was back. He's gone. My bad. Who's this? Who's Delta? Yeah, Delta State. We'd rather go Division II. And then you got some guys coming in from New Mexico. And the guys coming in from New Mexico, Wyatt McClure, he's the backup tight end from New Mexico. Remember, this is the worst team in America. Backup tight end. Reese Still, I guess he's going to come play and start. Max Harris, team's leading tackler, gone. Tyler Griffin, that's an exciting get for them. Tyler Griffin played here in Georgia, out of Statesboro. I believe he was the 3A player of the year. Former, go to UCF but couldn't see the field. Been there 2 years. I think that's pretty exciting for them to get a receiver like Tyler Griffin. I'm sure he's going to see the field. It'll be exciting. I don't know much about Carter Miller. There's one due out. Devin Smith should probably start offensive tackle. He started had a quarter of the season last year for New Mexico. Started a quarter of the season. There's one. Carl Fantroy played at UAB for the last 2 years. A Spanish Fort kid. And now you see him at ULM. That is the pipeline that Brian Vincent provides. That is what he brings to this coaching staff, so you get a player like that. Now, did he play at UAB? No, not that I can remember. So, congratulations. Taven Curry, love this kid. Unfortunately, in a stacked running back room at UAB, love his tape. Went back, watched his huddle film. He got on my radar 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. Now, I can't remember. It had to be 3 off seasons ago, so 2 years ago, I think. 2 years ago. I was looking at, they had an amazing running back. Then they picked up Isaiah Jacobs. Josh Jacobs' little brother. I don't like him. They tell me he's not a good locker room guy. But anyways, Taven Curry there, he's learning the gifts of the trade. He's learning the craft from Jermaine Brown Jr. I think that's a sneaky good transfer, but they already have good running backs. So there's no point in getting a bunch of them, right? It doesn't really move me like that. Jake Godfrey, wide receiver, didn't play at New Mexico. Congratulations, you're here. Didn't play at New Mexico that I know of. Nothing that I know of. They just brought the dude. Cool. Michael Batten, like I said, team's leading tackler, tied for lead, went to Houston. Austin Akel comes from Curtis Lee. Comes from a very good high school in Louisiana. Didn't play at New Mexico, but they brought him over as a young recruit. Congratulations. Kendra, like I said, starter, going to Memphis. All these guys that's repeating. Oh, right, the list repeats. Shout out to 24/7 Sports. Somebody should talk to their programmers. The list repeats. We already talked about all these guys. Anybody new? We already talked about all these guys. I don't know much about Crump. He's going to Southern. If he couldn't make the field at ULM, okay. Please go down. Simeon Hines going down to NAU. Congratulations, guys. Go get it. My point is ULM looks terrible. ULM's cupboard looks bare. Oh, they got General Booty, preferred walk-on from Oklahoma. Everybody knows his name because he played at Oklahoma. He's just a preferred walk-on at Oklahoma. I hope he's grateful that he found a scholarship. Okay? What you'll notice is they didn't bring any studs from New Mexico. None of the studs from New Mexico came with Coach. They were either out of the eligibility or they didn't show up and come with him. He's getting dudes. Look at there's Jake Godfrey. 1 catch, 6 yards. That's who he brought with him. The 1 catch, 6 yards guy. Couldn't get any of these other dudes to come with him. He brought that guy. Leading tackler, he's now starting somewhere else. I was just talking about him the other day. Where's he starting? K-State? Yep, leading tackler, now starting at K-State. Congratulations. Anybody else show up and come with him? Not that I know of. So, you got to coach what you got. You got to go with what you got. ULM does not look good. I'm letting you know now. ULM has Jalen Ware. I love him at nose tackle, by the way. He looks great on tape. Jalen Ware is cool. JUCO kid. Stud. I like him. Glass. Hard worker. Respect him. Those two stick out to me on tape. I'm watching tape. 35 and 14. Everybody else just up and bounce, bro. Up and bounce. Left this ship sinking. So, when they tell you the over-under's 2.5, not a chance, bro. Let's go in here real quick. I'm on the under. It's a lock like you wouldn't believe, okay? First and foremost, they're going to beat Jackson State. Theoretically, they should beat a team from the SWAC. They have better players They should beat the SWAC, run right over them, handle that shit, especially at home. So they're going to beat Jackson State. Then they lose to UAB. They can't win. They can't score as much as UAB does. They're going to lose to UAB. UAB scrubs are transferring into their starting lineup, okay? 2 weeks to prepare for Texas doesn't matter. They're losing at Troy, getting smashed by JMU. Do you think they're beating Southern Miss? Possibly. Possibly. So now we have a Jackson State win and a Southern Miss win. And you're never winning again. You're not beating South Alabama. You're not beating Marshall, Texas State, Auburn, Arkansas State, Louisiana. It's murder's row down here. I don't think you're beating Marshall on the road. That one's a close one because Marshall's quarterback play is gross. But, nah, Marshall's got too much talent and good coaching. I see 2 wins here, guys. I see 2 wins. Southern Miss and Jackson State, and that's it. So I got them on the under, and it's a lock, and I'd probably go 3 units on the lock. I understand it's a minus 184. So I say go 3 units. That's, for me, that's 300. 300 to win 163. But I see ULM having a terrible season. And if they have any injuries at quarterback, they're done, right? The only semblance that they'll have is running the rock, and I looked at the opposition, and I just don't see them beating any of these teams. They have a brutal non-conference schedule. Brutal. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they're playing Texas. They got to get paid. They're going on the road to Texas. They just got to get paid. I get it. Okay. This doesn't look good. Playing at Auburn, they got to get paid, bro. These dudes lined up to be sacrificial lambs, and shame on Texas and Auburn for scheduling them. Shame on them. But those are 2 of their non-conference games. Texas and Auburn. They're not gonna beat anybody in the Sun Belt. They didn't do it last year. They fired their coach, and they're hiring a good coach. He can't win the game. He can't play the games for these guys. So I'm on the under. Hopefully you guys go watch the entire playlist, go see all the other deep dives, and I break it down for you and let you know how many games these guys are winning. But this is my first group of 5 video, and I think we're going to hit this one pretty big. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Good luck, y'all. Peace.